Hi, I'm Susan and welcome to my tutorial. Today I want to show you how to make my evil skeleton fairies. They're made out of Dollar Tree skeletons. Yes, there's lots of tutorials all over YouTube, but these are a little bit different because we use polymer clay with these. So let's get started. Starting out with a piece of yellow, I'm taking another piece of yellow, I'm adding a little bit of cadmium to it, and I'm just creating a brighter orange. Now I'm just beginning with this small plug or log of clay, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just going to create a bullseye cane. This is a much quicker cane to make. You don't have to do any Skinner blends. You're basically just wrapping color around color. So this was the original that I added a little bit of red to. This is the cadmium red that I added to get this color. And I'm just going to keep covering it with just several pieces of clay. And you can see how you get a graduated shading. Cover it with my color, which is the Azurelian Crimson. And that is the bullseye cane that we'll be starting out with. Now let me compare it. Here is the Skinner blend. Not a huge amount of difference. This was a whole lot more work. This was pretty much no work, as you just saw. So I don't recommend bothering to do this because you just don't see enough of a difference for the time it takes. Now I'm going to put one last color on here, and I am just going to wrap this in some black clay. And there you see we have basically the whole colors to our butterfly to start with. Now I need one more bullseye cane, and that is just simply black and white. So I'm just going to take this white plug and wrap it in black. Now I have my bullseye cane we started with. Here's a plug I've basically wrapped with one layer of black. This one was 2 layers of black. And this one is 3 layers of black. Sorry, I can't show that to you. My camera struggles going in and out. I'm not sure what's wrong with it, but it does not like to watch me wrap canes with solid color clay, and black just seems to be the major struggle. Now, all I'm going to do with these is reduce them. So I have I'm going to reduce these probably to the size of a number 2 pencil. And then this one is the one we're going to play with. This one I want to cut in half. It's approximately 4 inches long. Doesn't really matter how much you start with, just work with what you have. I am going to keep this one the way it is. I'm just cutting it in half. And I'm going to cut this one in half. And what I'm going to do with that to reduce it is I'm just simply going to take each side and meet the edges. And I have my edge here that's peeling apart because that's where the seam was. I didn't really look for it, but that's okay. Don't worry about the little things. Now I'm just going to pinch this around and reduce it as a teardrop. And you probably wonder, how do I do that? I just use the table. And the one side that I pinch up, I pull. Let me move that out of your way. And so I'm pinching this into almost like a triangle. And the way I break that edge on the triangle is I just push it down with my finger, and I stretch the other end as I'm doing it. And as you can see, this is happening really quickly. And I am going to reduce these down that I have a larger one and a smaller one, and then I'm going to reduce this down also. I will come back after I reduce them all. This is the original cane that was just the plain bullseye cane. And I am going to just give it a little bit of a flatten. Yes, we're just basically taking this bullseye cane and we're just going to slice it up in even amounts. Now I am not measuring this because I'm too lazy. If you're smarter and have more time, you'll probably measure it, but so now we have pretty close to equal slices. I'm just going to pinch one end up, and you will see that better here. So I'm pinching it kind of flat, and I'm going to continue pinching all of them. And I'm just going to put these on the side here. Now I have the other ones that I folded in half, and I've just reduced them into smaller teardrops. Let me just cut these up. This one has some crimson on the bottom, so let's clean that off. And I want to make these about the same size as these. So the easiest way, just use my clay to measure. Now to assemble this, I am just literally going to stack these guys up together, and this will form the little lines in our butterfly. And you can just watch as I assemble, because this is one of those things you really don't need me to talk. It's something you have to see to understand. I am very visual, so everything is visual to me. Now if you need the cane to be a little bit flatter, just squish it. It's soft and easy to move and manipulate. And just imagine this as basically one butterfly wing. Now I have reduced the white canes very small, as you can see, and I'm going to actually even make them smaller. Now these are the ones that I have different levels of clay on. I don't really know which one's which. I am just going to mix them in here and see how they go. I'm not even going to pay attention because I want to show you sometimes being serendipitous is the most fun. And see, you can, oh, this is the single one. You can see how this switches things up just by adding that little bit of black and white. And you can see just by adding these canes how it switches things up completely. You're starting to see the butterfly wing. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of black right in here. I feel like the body center needs a little bit of black. And there's a jillion people out there that do these tutorials. This is just a super duper simple one. I wanted to keep this simple so that everybody could do it. You can do the fancier ones. There's a lot of wonderful, wonderful butterfly tutorials out there. Just hit search on YouTube and you will be amazed. Now I'm just adding, you can just add as many of these as you like if you want it to be all black. Like over here I may want it to be black. I think I'm just going to put a piece of black clay right in there. I think I'm just going to keep these little dots for the outside. I think I like the way they look there. And just at the bottom here. I don't know, I may change my mind. I always seem to. Never seem to be consistent when it comes to clay. No, I really like the black over the dots over here. Actually, I think that's quite enough dots. Now I have a sheet of black clay and I want some black more up in this part of the wing. Now you can just literally fold this over if you want more black in a certain area, and then that'll double it up and pull it back, or if you don't want any in an area, just leave it blank. I'm literally making this one up as I go. And I kind of just am feeling that. I wanted just orange wings, orange and black. I wanted really Halloween-y. And I'm feeling this is perfect. And now I'm going to just reduce this. And I'm going to put this to music because I think it's boring to watch and listen to nothing. And a lot of you want to see, how do I reduce this strange shape? I'm trying to keep it more into a triangle. I don't mind if this, but I like to use the table. The table is my friend. I just push it against the table. I push it against itself until I get it reduced. I push and pull. That's pretty much all there is to this. Now, you all know me, it wouldn't be right if I didn't have a little gold leaf on this cane. And I have quite a bit of it here, so I will be covering this up. This really gives you an idea of how big this cane is. I wanted it larger because for my skeletons, I wanted a little bit larger butterfly than I would put in jewelry. And now I'll just continue to reduce. Now I'm leaving a smaller amount of the wing because I want this butterfly wing to be a little smaller on the bottom. So I'm going to reduce this one a little bit more and leave this one where it's at. See, I have that completely reduced and it's exactly how I wanted. I wanted the white on the edges, and that wasn't very difficult, and we didn't really spend a whole lot of time planning this out. Just keeping it simple, and I kind of like these colors that they look like flames. I really didn't want this to look like a natural butterfly. This is all fantasy anyway, so let's have fun with it. Now I like the way this has a little dimple in the inside there, that little dimple there. And I'm just kind of holding this together. Now for my skeletons, this is how big my skeleton is. Now my cane's been sitting for about a half hour, just relaxing. I've had my air conditioning on real cool so that it's hardened up a bit, and I'm just going to slice it into pieces. And they're not going to be thick. They're only going to be maybe 1/8 of an inch thick. I want these to be pretty thin. Probably easier to cut these canes separately, but it is what it is. Now, I want these to be a little bit raggedy. So I'm going to squish them up. These are kind of evil little fairies. They're not sweet, kind little fairies. And so I'm going to take their wings and distort them a little. And I want their wings to attach just so it'll be easier for me to attach them here once they're made. And so I'm going to stack them one on top of the other, and I'm just going to squish this guy up. Now you can bake this either on a piece of t-shirt or some cornstarch. I'm going to bake this on a piece of cardboard on a baking sheet just because it's easier. And there you have your set of wings. Now to bake these, if you want them flat, no problem. Leave them flat like that. If you put them on a piece of cardstock, cardboard, paper, cornstarch, t-shirt, whatever, you won't get any shiny spots. I don't want anything that looks like it's been hit kind of funny. Now, if you want these to ruffle up or get a little weird looking, I just take some paper that I've just rolled up, basically. You can even take a paper straw, but I don't have straws, so I just use a piece of scrap paper that I've rolled up, and I can wrap some of this underneath. I can kind of wiggle it any which way I want, and when it bakes, it will stay in that position. So if you want them to be curled up different ways, just prop them up that way. Now to make the little fairy crown, I'm just taking a piece of black clay that I have on the thickest setting of my POS machine. I'm folding it in half. And you can put gold or silver leaf, doesn't matter. I'm just putting some on here. Here, I'll just randomly cover it. And now I'm going to run this through my POS machine. And I'm going to have it on the second thickest setting so that it crackles this and creates more of a weathered kind of a look. And now I just want to tear it. And I want to tear it that I have a little peak. And since I didn't get a perfect little peak there, I'll just tear it again. Just keep picking at it. I don't want this to be perfect. I want it to be a little bit rough because these are evil fairies. They're not good fairies that are sweet and pretty. They gotta be a little dirty and rough. And now I'm just going to take my razor and just cut across that. And this is going to be my crown. I want this rough, raggly edge. I even like this rough, raggly edge with the leaf sticking up. I'll use this on another one. Now, a form for my crown is just a simple piece of paper. What I need to do is just basically figure out what's the size of the head I want and just wrap that paper around. All I've done is taped it. So we're talking really, really basic. You can make it a little larger, a little smaller. I kind of like it like this. It's kind of like a party crown. And I'm just literally wrapping the crown around that. If you want it smaller, then you can adjust it from here and just attaching it. Now, to attach it, all I do is cut it where it meets up. I cut through both pieces of clay. That way I have a perfect little match and I can blend it. Now here, where it's torn and I don't have it torn properly, just keep tearing at it. Like I said, I want this to be rough. I don't want this to be too pretty and sweet because they're evil, mean fairies. You can decorate this or leave it plain. For me, I happen to have purchased a bag of rhinestones for like $2 off of eBay last year. These are glass rhinestones. For some reason, after Halloween, nobody wants orange rhinestones. So if you want a hint, wait till after Halloween and pick up all the orange rhinestones you want because they literally just don't sell. I'm convinced it was like $2 or $3 for this entire bag of 500. So you can see that you can have lots of fun if you're a Halloween person just using a bag of rhinestones. And just because I've got so many of these stinking rhinestones, I am going to use all of them up on stuff. And I'm just putting a little bit of liquid clay and sticking my rhinestones in. And you can decorate these however you can imagine, but just simple rhinestones, always fun. And I may put all the rhinestones all around it. I think that might be more fun. But you can see, you can create a crown just by using a ring of paper, and that's all there is to it. So I'm going to add the rhinestones all around because I can. And I will come back at the end and show you how they're all finished and how cute this little crown looks. And just before I bake this, I wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like when I bake a few of the wings. I've made some extra little leaves for my fairies' heads. I've created these little roses to put on top of their heads. This is a separate video I have. If you look at my sugar skulls or simple flowers, I show how to make these. They're really easy. And here is the crown that I have just completely finished with the rhinestones, and I'm just going to bake it with this paper core. It will pop right off after it's baked. I'm using these skeletons that you can get at any of the Dollar Tree stores, any dollar stores. A lot of the Halloween sections all have inexpensive little skeletons. Now when you're cutting these off the card, they come on like a little tab there. They're also done in a garland so that they can hang. Now if you want to do them that they're hanging, that's cool too. But I just like to nip that off. You can use a dull scissor, we'll do the same thing. And just keep that head all cleared off, and now I can continue to decorate or make him in any form or shape that I like. I'm starting out with Gorilla hot glue sticks. I find this is the best with everything. I don't find that it falls apart or peels apart. And I'm starting out with my skeleton, and I am going to do something unconventional. I am going to cut his hands off. You can do this with a dull scissor also, and cut his joints. And the reason I do this is he's not a jointed skeleton, he's just a cheap one. And so what we can do is create our own position that we want him in. So if you want him crawling up something or jumping off of something, this is a great way to create that look. And if you want one of the feet to bend down, take the feet off. And the first thing I'm going to do is put the wings on. And the wings are going to go right back here, so I'm just hot gluing them with this glue. And I want to let this dry a second so that I have something for this to sit in. There we go, it's starting to thicken up a little. I want it to be like a honey consistency, and put a little bit more hot glue right on the top there. Now when I put my wings in, I have something to sit them in. And I'm just going to hold this for just a quick brief second while they set up. Now don't worry if these are perfectly straight, because you want them to look like they're in motion, so different angles, different movements will give that look. And you do have to hold these up until they dry unless you want to prop them. Now I just have a tiny piece of a pipe cleaner. I got these at Dollar Tree also. They have sparkly ones, they have flat ones, depends which store you go to. I'm just folding it in half, about an inch long, and you can take a scissor and cut this. I have a wire cutter right here, and I am just going to glue that on the back so it covers up that kind of glue glob. You can also put a strand of beads, but I kind of like the fluffiness of the chenille, so I'm just going to plop it right on top. I'll probably do some of these with the sparkly ones too. And there you can see the difference of his body having that beautiful wing. Now to create the arms and joints, if you wanted the arms to go up, move them, cut those off too. Basically, all you're going to do is glue the joints back. And just like the wings, wait until they get to like a honey type of consistency, and then put them back. So this leg would be going backwards. I should have waited on the other one. And I'll just scoop this glue up because it's sitting on my mat, and I'll move this one forward. So put them in motion basically, and just hold them until they dry. It just takes about 10-15 seconds, but that 10 or 15 seconds seems like forever sometimes. And just cut the shoulder if you want to make that arm going up, and reglue the arm back in. Now you can also add another glob of glue to reinforce anything, but just play with these. They're so much fun. And let's face it, they're like 25 cents a piece, so you can really have fun with these for just a little bit of money. And now I'm just going to glue the hands on so that I can get them in whatever positions I want. And just for fun, I have created a little crown that I will put on this guy because he is the king of the mean fairies. All I did was hot glue that, and I will just sit it on top of his head. Now just for fun, I've taken some 20 gauge wire, and I have these 4mm crystals from my AliExpress haul. They were really inexpensive. I've just created this little V, which I'm just going to glue right into the top of the crown so it looks like his little antennae right inside the head there. And I'll just put a little drop of glue to hold it in. Now you can get this at the Dollar Tree also. They have packages of glitter glue, or if you happen to have some rhinestones, you could use those too. That would do perfectly the same. But I think the glitter glue does the exact same effect, and it's easy to get right at Dollar Tree. And I'm just putting it in the eyes. It will dry a little flatter, but you can see how cool that looks. Now, you could also glue beads in the eyes, or glue beads, just one bead in one eye if you want it to be a little more fun. But you can see how kind of evil fun these are. And now I've got him in a better position. So you can do these in all sorts of positions, climbing up onto things, hanging off of things. And let me just turn him completely 360 so you can see his back. Now, I am going to create lots of these, put them in a scene, and I will next show you the fun.